right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the
To
435
all,
podcast. Again, we're back.
good evening to all of our live listeners.
Hey, someday, right? Someday we'll have some live
Someday,
listeners. Have to
that's
figure
right.
that one
Then
out.
we'll have a chat. But that's all right.
Exactly. But welcome, everybody. We're glad to be back now. It's hard for us to get together during the season, right? It's March 3rd now, so season ended a few weeks ago. But yeah, having practice after school and then getting home, taking care of kids and family. Kind of have to take a break on the podcast during the season.
Yeah, exactly. We're back. Coach Jarrett Morrill at Ridgeline and excellent coach Clint Burnell, Green Canyon Girl.
That's right. Year one down for me. Year 10 down for Jarrett, right? As head
Yep,
coach
been
at
a
Wood.
decade.
Yep.
Yep, decade as head coach.
It's exciting stuff. Also,
Yeah.
Coach of the Year as well. Coach of the Year, Coach Morrill. So, very exciting for that, right? Seeing some great progress. And so, I think today we wanted to just talk a little bit about our seasons actually and do a little bit of a season recap, talking about things we learned, some struggles, favorite drills, etc. Maybe, right? So I think that's kind of the icebreaker we should start with today. What was your favorite drill this season, Jarrett?
Well, there's a lot of drills. I think I think the most valuable drill that I always try to work towards, and I'm sure there's other people that do this drill, but I came up with it myself, but I'm sure there's other people out there doing something similar. Um, I like to try to place a heavy emphasis on chain wrestling and getting the whether it's neutral, top or bottom, and I like to give the boys like a three move chain put together, and and then we'll drill that, and then I like to say, hey, go create your own chain, and and then they'll drill that sequence a few times, and then after that, I like to have them do the chain, and at some point during that chain, I'll blow the whistle and make it live wrestling, so they don't know when exactly I'm going to blow it, but to try to put them in kind of uh, what's the word, a legitimate wrestling position when it becomes live, because sometimes in live situations you can sort of set up in a way that you're going to win that situation no matter what.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's not a specific drill per se, but that's what I try to work for to encourage them to chain wrestle. I'm sure there's other ways to do it, and maybe even better ways, but that's one way that I feel like we've had some decent success with. So
I like that. Kind of gives them the natural progression of wrestling, right? You're pitting them in those positions that they're going to find themselves in all the time, right? Escape, takedown, turn, escape, takedown, right? You're down by four. You got to escape and take down, just tie the match. So,
yeah, and I struggled. To me, it's not been easy to teach. I mean, like I said, it's been 10 years, and it's been hard to kind of teach the boys to chain wrestle. And this is one way that I've come up with that I feel like helped a little bit. And I'm actually talking like, let's say you're on bottom, you go to hit, say quad pod stand up. Top guy stops it, and then you transition into a switch. Top guy stops it, you transition into an inside leg stand up type of thing. Those are, and then when we go live, just somewhere, in there, I'll blow the rest of the live. So that's what I was. I don't know if I made that clear, but that's kind of what I was
give them that
trying to get at.
sequence.
Yeah,
Sequence
exactly. A
movement.
sequence.
I like that.
So,
That's smart. I think it's great to put them in those positions. I think
what about what about you, Clint?
well, this is my first season as head coach, so I did a lot of experimenting. I found a lot of drills in the preseason that I didn't like, right? Because I think I do a lot of like research and I'm looking at like what programs are doing, and you know, I think for younger programs, and especially even like just starting out your own program, you can get really caught in the monotony of just, oh, everybody needs to be going shot re-shot, shot counter shot, right? Or, you know, the Weldon drill, like push pull and circle shot. Like those are all great drills, and I know that Penn State does a lot of those, but unfortunately, we are not Penn State yet, right? So I found a lot of, I think, success with just even just stance in motion. I don't think I really understood how important stance in motion was as a drill until this year. I think that one really stuck out for me. But I think that's like that's like a very basic answer. And I think I'd push it even to the further to saying spending time in stance in motion just with your movement, then adding shots and sprawls, then adding even more dynamic movement like down blocks, foot fire, right? You know, sprawl circle, shot, reshot, kind of like that kind of stuff, making it more progression. I think I saw a lot more fluidity in the team's movement when we did that after a month or two, right? But and then I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna say one more. I really liked hand fighting, like hand fight to score. I think that would be my second favorite drill. And I know you drill a lot of hand fighting as well, right? Just really trying to get them competent at controlling tie-ups and working to score and get into their positions they're better at than the opposition.
Yep.
So,
yeah, we got smoke and hand ties for hand fighting for like my first 6 years of coaching, and I was like, all right, we got to do something about this. So we made a bigger focus in recent years.
Yeah, it's a pivotal part now, right? Especially with it's becoming more prominent in wrestling as well. I mean, shots from space are still very prominent, and you can see it a lot, but people are getting much better at hand fighting nowadays than they were when we wrestled.
I didn't even know what hand fighting was when I was wrestling. I always shot from space.
Yeah. You had the best shot recovery ever, though.
The only reason I could do it is because I had longer arms than anybody.
You get on those low singles and just pull it under, right? One of your many.
And if I didn't get it, I had long arms, so I couldn't go behind. but I would never coach wrestling.
I remember watching countless videos on John Smith's low single and all the finishes that go with it. Classic days. Now you got Messenbrink with all his misdirections.
How low can you go?
Yeah.
That's the one? Yep. I watched that many times.
Yep. Well, let's kind of progress now into it. Let's talk. I think it's really interesting to look back on the season, and Jared and I have talked about this a few times too. Just some of the things we've learned this season. So I'll let you start. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you learned from this season.
Yeah, well, in my reflecting on the season, one of the big thoughts that kept coming back to me was preparation wins. And what I mean by that is when you're a coach and you sit in the corner, you don't affect the match very much. 1, 2, at most 3 times in the match, you might be able to yell something to kind of take the wrestler's attention to the right thing. You know, if there's blood time, you get a chance to talk to them. But I mean, I'm not very smart, so I'm over in the corner yelling the whole time. But they're not hearing most of the things I'm trying to say, and I lose my voice yelling. But you know, they're not pointless. So really, what a big realization I've had was you win based on the preparation you're doing in practice, based on the adaptations that you get with your conditioning, based off the challenges you give them, and based off the the things you're drilling and working on. Because you got to be strategic, with what you're working on. You got to be good at noticing what are other teams' what are they doing? You know, what defenses are you seeing a lot of? You know, there's one team I know is doing a lot of leg passes, and I was like, all right, we got to at least know what that is and have a good counter or two to it. But yes, I mean, in the moment, as a coach, you can affect the match a little bit, but you can't affect it a lot. Most of that's done in your preparation and the conversations you had ahead of time. So that was one of the big things I learned to realize this year. Um, it was just with preparation.
And that's the whole
Um,
quote too. It's like from Chris Voss. I went and pulled it up because like when the pressure's on, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your highest level of preparation, right?
yeah, yeah, and I hear that, and I hear that so often. I'm like, I don't like to use cliches, but it is a something that's valid. You know, the way you're preparing and you're adapting and the way you're drilling, that all affects the way that you're going to wrestle in when you go compete. So, and the other thing I was going to say about that, it's true for the wrestler as well, in that very rarely does that wrestler win the match in the moment. It occasionally that happens, right? Let's say one wrestler, the moment gets too big for them and they're intimidated, and the other wrestler just dominates them. But so occasionally that'll happen, but mostly for the wrestler, it comes with preparation. The way you prepare is how you're going to win, and along those same lines. And sorry, I'm rambling here, but you can lose a match in the moment, but it's hard to win a match in the moment, right? You can lose it in the moment by making a dumb decision, but rarely do you win in the moment. So those are a few reflections and a few things that I really thought about this season. So,
I like that though because I think it's an important part of coaching, right? Because one of our main roles is just to try to educate them, right? To prepare them and to provide those, almost that muscle memory of, hey, you've been in this situation before. Don't make the moment bigger than it is, right? Fall back on that,
yeah,
that train that we've been going over, we've been doing repeatedly, and it's just another match, right? Work to score that next point. Work to get in, start with the first step, right? Who cares if you're down by 7 or if you're down by 1 or if you're up 3, right? Work to hand fight, work to pressure in, get some motion going, right? Get to your ties, get to your shots, penetrate and finish. It's just, don't make it bigger than it is, right?
yeah.
So,
And I'm a firm believer in trying to simulate the state tournament ahead of time, that it feels normal. We'll wrestle matches in practice as if this is your first match, as if this is your second round, this is your semifinal, this is your state final type of a thing, so that when you get there, it feels normal, feels familiar. That's going back to the preparation. So,
I think that's a really good point, though, too, because um, I have a couple thoughts on that. Number one, my uncle used to coach at Alta, and he coached there for 35 years. And he coached soccer, and I think he has like 20 state titles. So he has he's very accomplished. And I was talking to him before the season, like on some things that he did. He said that he would always take him to, oh man, I'm blanking on the name now. The Real Stadium.
Rio
Yeah, Rio
Tinto, right?
Tinto. Yeah, he would take his whole team to there, like at the beginning of the season, and say this is where we want to be, and then he would take them there before the state tournament as well, and just say, hey, this is where we're going to be playing in a few weeks in the finals, right? And trying to get that visualization going for them, and it kind
Yeah,
of counteracts it with this next point. And I don't know, this is something that I listened to, and we actually talked about this. Is they were talking about Olympic athletes and their visualization and how they shouldn't be visualizing the podium nonstop, but they should be, visualizing all the hard work and effort that they've taken to get to where they're at now, right? That grind of making a national team, an Olympic team, the process of getting better, maybe winning nationals, like that process to get to there. and so that they're constantly really like focusing on that grind almost rather than just the finish line. So it's an interesting thought or concept, I'd say, on how you should
Yeah.
visualize.
Yeah. And I think to add on to that, if I remember right, I think it was a video you sent me,
Yeah,
um, was like, don't visualize in your match that everything's going to go right.
yeah,
Because how often does that happen? But visualize like, hey, if something goes wrong, visualize yourself fighting through that and still being successful. Visualize you take a shot, he sprawls on it, you fight through it, you regain the position, you finish the takedown type of thing, as opposed to visualizing like, oh, I get in deep on the shot, get the finish on my first attempt. And I think that's a more useful way to go about it, right? Because it's more realistic.
I mean, how many? The more I think about it, is it's why I love like international wrestling as well, is because it's not always just the returning world champ that wins every single ranking event or world championship, right? I mean, you get to such an elite level where you believe you can beat anyone and you train to beat everyone, to where sometimes you just have a better day than them, right? And it's much more common at the higher levels of wrestling. Um, and I think a big part of that's just because of their mindset. I think it can be very possible in high school as well. I mean, track wrestling, I think sometimes psychs out wrestlers, right? They look at who they're wrestling and they're like, oh, well, I wasn't supposed to win because I'm not seated above them, and right, but
Yeah.
they haven't developed that mindset yet.
Yeah. And it's hard when you're a kid to see rankings.
Yeah,
Like, I still don't look at rankings, mostly because they make me mad.
yeah,
I'm like, that's bull crap. My kid should be ranked higher than that. But for the kids, like it's hard. Like it's hard to separate the fact like this is just some random ranker. Like it's easy as a kid to see that and feel like this is locked in. This is where I'm at.
yeah.
That takes some real mental skill.
You let
To be able to see that and think, no, that's not right. And there's some kids that have that. Some kids that have that. I'm going to prove you wrong type of and those are special kids. But for a normal kid, it's easy to see that and be like, oh, well, I'm not supposed to beat them, and then you just go out and wrestle like you're not supposed to beat them.
you let someone put a
So
ceiling on you, right? Rather than
yeah,
there's a lot of
and
parables about
art
that, and you can look them all up, but don't let anyone put a
yeah,
ceiling on you.
an artificial ceiling.
Yep,
Yeah.
because anybody can lose.
So yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, we've seen that countless
Well,
times over the past NCAA seasons, right? Look at Spencer Lee, look at Gable
oh
Steveson,
yeah.
right? I mean,
The
the
unthinkable. Spencer Lee and Gable Steven were both unthinkable upsets.
yeah, I mean, I'd even
Some
say,
sports bettor made a lot of money betting against them
yeah,
because the odds were insane that upset would not happen.
I mean, Gable was minus 800 going into the NCAA tournament, just astronomical,
I
odds.
I love the fact that you just know the odds offhand like
I might have been paying attention to them a little bit too much.
that.
But yeah, I think
This is how we know that I'm a school teacher and you're not, because I have no idea what the betting odds are.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's just the beauty of the mindset of wrestling, right? And the things that everybody has to develop, right? You have to get that ability to overcome and prove people wrong, right?
Yeah, and you got to have the belief in yourself.
Yeah,
Sometimes that might be delusional, but you have to have it.
yeah,
You have to believe you're the best.
yeah. You have to believe your best. You got to believe you can take someone down before you can take them down, right? Got to believe you can turn people. I mean, my team, I really like Ted Lasso. I don't know if you've seen that or not, that series, but he's big on belief as well, right? And so I always had some quotes that I'd always share with the team and talk about belief. And he has a little sign that's like the believe sign. And I mean, I think it's a good motto, right? It's a good way to approach life, right? You want to be optimistic. You want to be consistent. You want to be disciplined, right? You want to believe, Right? You want to believe that you can do something. You want to believe that you can take that next step in your career, in your life, in your relationship, in your sports, right? Whatever it may be. So,
Did you have any girls that you felt like, maybe believed and they exceeded expectation, things to that, or,
yeah.
did you see anything like that?
Yeah, I think I definitely, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we had a girl end up actually beating someone that was a returning state champ. Just caught her, you know, was on her back, bridged through, and ended up catching her and pinning her, and just, believed that she could win. We told her, hey, sometimes, we kind of always talk to people, you can pin people that you might not be able to beat, right? In wrestling, it's just something that I believe, because you can catch anyone. Anybody can get cradled,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Anybody can get thrown, right? And you have to realize, hey, maybe I am the underdog here, and that's okay. I'm going to go out there and pin him. And she went and did it, and she actually did it a couple more times that same tournament, and ended up in the finals of it. And I think I just think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing just to watch someone beat someone they're not supposed to, and I think that's a great, like, a barometer as if they're progressing or not. Um, because when you're the wrestler that's supposed to win and wins, it's great. And when you're supposed to win and you lose, and that happens consistently, I think that's kind of like a red flag, right? Where it's like, hey, I need to maybe take a look at my mindset, maybe my training, right? How hard am I drilling, right? Because I should be beating these people. I should consistently be outperforming. Like, I'm underperforming my ability, my, you know, where I should be. So,
Yeah. Cool.
but
That's good. Well, what other reflections? I kind of got off on mine, but did you have other reflections from the season?
for me, it was just kind of a whole, I had to figure out so many things. I had to figure out fundraising, I had to figure out track wrestling, I had to, order everything, and vendors, and pay tournaments, get to the right tournament. So for me, it was more of a almost an overwhelming experience on trying to figure out all that, and then on top of that, trying to make sure that you know you're running a good practice and program. And thankfully, I have good friends that let me bug them about, hey, what do you do? What are you doing for a practice? Or you know, what do you like to do for warm ups? And trying to find like that, almost getting to, skip a lot of that self discovery phase, because you can almost emulate people that have had success, right? And so I was lucky that way to pick your brain and pick some other people's brains as well on, you know, almost skipping some of that trial and error, I would say.
Well, the smart people learn from others' mistakes. The dumb people have to learn from their own mistakes.
Yeah, the wheel can't be reinvented again, right? So,
So,
but I also think that's just wonderful about, technology, and, just making those relationships, right? You get to do that. Right? Everybody wondered what Gable's secret sauce was back in when he was coaching, right, in the 80s and 90s, and the reality is it was just a well-oiled machine, right? They knew what they were getting when they came in. They knew what his expectations were, and he provided them with the resources to succeed. And that's a big part of our job as coaches, right? Is providing those resources for people to succeed.
it's a huge responsibility, really. I mean, you got to get people to buy in. Well, first of all, you got to be knowledgeable. You got to know what will actually make you better for your athletes, what will actually make them better, and what will actually win. Then you got to buy. Then you got to get them to buy in, and then you'll have success,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, you gotta be knowledgeable. And I've told you this before, but for me, coaching it's a game of trial and error, and I had a whole lot more error in my first few years of coaching. But I try to take notes as I go, and I think I've learned a lot in 10 years. But yeah, I mean, you've got to get experience and knowledge to figure out what really works, what really wins, and then get your kids to buy in, and then you've got a shot.
Yeah, I like that. Do you have any struggles this season that come to mind when you think about the season as we kind of go over our recap of the last few months?
Um, I mean, for me, the worst was skin and just injuries, and I mean, some most of the injuries were things that I could not have any control over. When they're out in the match and they just get into a position. I don't think we had, off the top of my head, I don't think we had any injuries that were my fault per se. Where like, because you can work kids too hard, you can run them in the ground and get injuries.
Exposed them to measles.
And that, yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, just read the news article tonight that Mount Crest has some measles cases, and so hopefully nobody gets a serious case of it.
Yeah. Hopefully it just
But no,
disappears.
I was thinking, yeah, but I was thinking more, I think I've done this in past years where you work kids too hard and they get an injury, and you kind of have to have a conversation with kids and say, hey, if you're starting to pull your groin, let me know so that I don't make you run sprints.
Yeah.
But I think we did a pretty good job managing injuries, but it's just hard. I mean, you gotta be smart about it. Train as hard as possible without making it worse. That's always tricky, but you've got to kind of be in constant communication with the athlete about it, and then the other one's skin. I mean, we did pretty good through most of the season with skin stuff, but we did have a few things pop up towards the end of the season, and almost had a wrestler get DQ'd at divisionals for it. Originally, actually, he did get DQ'd, but we somehow had conversations with the trainer and were able to get it reversed. And he had to cover it. He was allowed to wrestle, and which I thought was the right decision. I thought they were erring on the side of caution, but it's skin is a tricky business because it drives me crazy, honestly, as a coach, because you think about a football game. If you're going to the state finals, and you're not going to find out right before the state final game that your star quarterback can't play
Yeah.
because of a skin issue, or your star basketball player can't play because but in wrestling, it's like you could have a star player be DQ'd, not because he didn't make weight, not because of something else, but because of skin, and you could be doing everything right. And in some cases, I've seen kids DQ'd or like something that popped up that day that was, I'm pretty sure, was inocuous. But the skin people determined, no, we're not going to let this pass. I've seen it happen to a returning state champion before.
That Snow Canyon kid,
So
I was just thinking about the Snow Canyon.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I say what, I guess I don't know how to say I struggle with that, but it just causes a lot of stress as a coach, and you do everything you can. I mean, like, I was telling kids take vinegar baths. After practice a few times, like, let's do skin checks, and we brought in a doctor to scan them. Got skin notes on anything that even looks suspicious, But anyway, that was one. I guess that's what came to mind.
I've been telling them to go to the pool during Christmas break. Just go get in that.
Yeah, I did too.
Go in that chlorine pool and let it kill everything on your body.
Yeah, no, I did. I told them the same. Vinegar bath or go swim in the chlorinated pool.
Yeah.
So,
Well, those are some of the struggles. And it's hard when the struggles are stuff that are out of our scope, right? Out of our control. right? Things that we,
Yeah. Well, and girls are probably a lot better than boys, I would think.
yeah, I
You
guess.
know, you know what Craig Dart told me?
What?
I was giving him a hard time because he had his nails painted down at state, and
Oh
they were
yeah,
out square dancing, and
I saw
I was
that.
giving him a hard time, and he goes, "You know what? I realized the other day, in whatever it is, 5 years, I have never heard one girl fight." And I said, "Oh," and I said, you would not believe the bus rides that I've had to deal with driving home and opening windows in 0 degree weather because of the smell.
Yeah,
Oh,
girls are much different. You know,
you're
my bus rides are
the
singing.
hygiene. Yeah, and I've had a few of those singing, but the smells, man. If we ever stop at a fast food joint on the way home, just preemptively put those windows down because watch out.
Oh my gosh,
Just
that's so
watch
funny.
out.
Yeah, the difference between
Oh,
girls and boys wrestling on that side is drastic as well.
yeah.
That's funny.
I've had to threaten boys with sprints because they keep farting so much in practice. Like once or twice, maybe it's funny, but after a while, it's like, dude, you're lactose intolerant. You have got to quit drinking milk at lunchtime.
Oh my gosh,
So
that's so funny.
anyway, we're getting off topic.
True. The true struggles of being a coach right here. Right here.
The unseen sacrifices.
The
People don't
unseen
realize
sacrifice.
what we put up with.
Yeah, I think I would go the same way. For some reason, I keep thinking about concussions. Concussions is just one that, yeah, gets me, right? That's one of those struggles this year where, like, I had a couple of really good girls have to sit out a few weeks due to concussions. Luckily, not divisionals or state or anything, but it's just concussions are one that I wish we could. It's better that it's good because we have so much more awareness about them now. I'm pretty sure I wrestled with a concussion when I'm like almost positive I had a concussion several times and I just wrestled through with it. You're seeing stars and you're just like, I'm gonna get on a leg and I'm gonna hold on for for 30 seconds until this match is over, and then I'm gonna lay down into my next match and I'm gonna go out and wrestle again. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
good that
I
we
know.
have.
Yeah, I know. I wrestled through a few concussions. I had in high school. I remember I cracked kids with the kid from South Summit, blacked out, didn't like came to, and fortunately the momentum took us out of bounds. And yeah, anyway, but that was one like you say. I just kind of held on to win. There was another one in college. I lost. Well, I had to age the default because I got kid had my leg in the air and then he tripped my other leg and I fell all the way to my head. And like I heard a noise in my ears that wasn't really there. And anyway, I injury defaulted out, because it was clear I had a concussion. But that was like on a Saturday. This was in college, and I go to practice on Monday. It's like, Coach, should I like sit out? Like, should I rest? It's like, no, just get back in there. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
different times.
different time. I mean, I turned out mostly normal. I'm sure certain people would beg to differ on that, but so anyway, like you said, but yeah, you're like you say, they're treated very differently now, and probably for good reason. Sometimes I'm like, come on, that's not a concussion,
Gotta
but
start warming up
I get,
for the day, and then maybe do some more drilling the next day, and
uh,
then you do a whole practice, and then you can wrestle.
well, and the protocol, you go in concussion protocol for a full week. The
Yeah,
minimum you can come back is 7 days. So
yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's what I mean. It's 7 day
it's serious,
break, and
and
then it's that. It's just
yeah, and what's funny is like some kids come back from them just fine, like nothing ever happened, and then some kids get the post-concussive syndrome or whatever it's called, and then the symptoms just nag and nag and nag, and I mean, everybody's different on how they react to them, and so,
no, but that's
so
the only
yeah,
thing I was thinking about, just when it comes to like, you know, out of your control struggles this year. I mean,
Yeah, we were. Yeah, yeah.
but I think as we kind of wrap up this, this welcome back podcast, we're gonna start meeting more regularly and talking about things, wrestling is going on here in the valley again, and what we're doing, right? Because I mean, a big part of our focus of this podcast is trying to bring awareness to sport, provide information about it to people in the valley, and I think as well, talk about what we're doing, right? What's going on. So now we're in postseason. What are you doing now for postseason?
Yeah, we got freestyle. I call it freestyle, but we haven't really started doing freestyle. We're still doing folk style because this weekend we got the Intermountain Warrior, which is a folk style tournament. And then next week I'm going out to Iowa with I think 8 wrestlers to wrestle at nationals, which is folk style nationals. So we're still training that. But anyway, um, so we're doing that 2 times a week. Um, I know several of my athletes are doing the White Rhino. There's the White Rhino is Monday, Thursday with Luke Lofthouse, and it's doing great things for their development. And I do mine Tuesday, Wednesday, so that kids that want to do both can do both. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the next step. There will be more in the off season. Freestyle is going to end in mid to late April, but there'll be more things we do. But that's kind of what's going on right now. What's your guys' schedule look like for Green Canyon Girl?
We're the same. I'm actually doing it for the girls and the boys, and I have some other kids coming as well. And we're Tuesday, Wednesday as well, because like I said, being in the valley here, we want to take advantage of all of our resources, right? And I think when they go to White Rhino, they get a lot of uh, you know, great knowledge. Obviously, you got a college coach there running a club, so you get some good information there. And they do a lot of that great fundamental movement as well, pressure, stuff like that, and it allows a lot of us to spend even more time on technique and also that fundamental movement to kind of like mix it together. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
freestyle as well. I mean, for the girls, we wrestle freestyle this weekend, and I think most of the girls' tournaments are all freestyle.
Is the Intermountain Warriors
Yeah,
freestyle for girls?
yeah, I
Oh,
went and
but it's
checked.
folk style for boys, right?
It is. I went and checked today because
That's weird.
I was
I didn't
surprised.
realize that.
Yeah, and they changed the grounding rule for freestyle, right? So this will be our first look at that. So there's no more grounding. It's just straight push-outs, from what I understand.
Yeah, yeah, which is probably a good change.
I think it's a good change for international. I don't know how common that was at the high school level, but I mean, heck, Spencer Lee probably would have won a gold medal if there wasn't no ground if there was no grounding.
Seriously.
He literally pushed out Ray Higuchi like 3 times in a row, trying to lift him with those double unders. So,
Yeah.
anyways, but I think it's a great time of the season for postseason. For your wrestling development here to really start getting better at those areas you're not as good at, right? Jared's doing some folk style. I'm doing some folk style as well. It's time to start, developing maybe in your leg riding or, other tie ups that you're not as confident in or other finishes, right? Especially in freestyle, it's a lot more takedown to turns. I mean, you can get, and I think that develops, goes hand in hand with folk style as well. If you can start, taking down straight into turns, whether it be halves, cradles, locking up cross wrists, leg turks, whatever it may be. I mean, it's just great stuff. So
Yeah, and it does so much for your neutral. I mean, because what 80 to 90% of the match is neutral because you only
yeah,
if you turn them, you get more time, but if you don't turn them, it's only like 20 seconds and they stand them up. So I mean, a lot of neutral wrestling.
yeah. And I think after this freestyle season, stuff to start thinking about for those wrestlers listening as well is it's starting to get into camp season, right? Camps. So I think in June, July, you start getting some opportunity to go do some camps. It might be good to talk to your coach about that and find some recommendations if that's something you want to do. And even if, and I think, Jared, I think you'll be doing some camps probably over the summer as well, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's another great time to really get a heavy focus in on like one specific, position, right? Whether it's leg riding or cross wrist or, whatever it may be. I mean, collar tie, inside tie. I mean, there's all kind of camps that you can go to. I remember I went to a low single camp. I went to a leg riding camp growing up. All those kind of ones. I think they're really great to get a lot of heavy exposure to those areas.
Yeah. Okay. Camps are great. You can meet a lot of great coaches, make friends from other teams. You get drill, and that's one thing I try to tell my kids, like, for goodness sake, you go to a camp, wrestle with the kid from another team.
Yes.
Because normally you don't get that. So don't just drill with your teammates. But one thing I'll add with camps is I think to get the most value out of them, you've got to take back what you learn and drill it in your practices, right? I mean, camps are wonderful in learning technique, but if you never go home and drill and practice what you learn at the camp, you might have just wasted your money. Like you want to make good use of it and like pick 2 or 3 things that you really liked out of the camp, write them down in detail so you can remember how to do them, and then go and practice them. When you get a chance to get on the mat back at your own high school, or I got a few kids that got wrestling mats in their houses. So when you get home at your own home mat, practice that stuff. Otherwise, it's like, how much, it's a repetition that builds the skill.
Yeah.
So you gotta, you learn it in camp, which is great, but to actually build that skill, you gotta get reps.
100%. I love that. And I think also I would talk to your coach about what you learned as well, if it's something you really are passionate about. Because sometimes, I'll be honest, we go to a camp and you learn something that you probably should only use 5% of the time, right? And then you're trying to make that 5% 95% of the time, right? There are fundamentals in wrestling that you want to have go-tos, right? You want to be snapping down, chasing hamstring, hitting ankles, right? Like a lot of the times when you're wrestling, it's not always snapping down cement mixer, snapping down assassin, right? There's like kind of a hierarchy when it comes to progress, and camps do a great job at teaching fundamentals, but also fun moves, right? For lack of a better word. I mean, stuff that's great. So,
yeah.
But anything else to add, Jarrett, for our recap on the season?
Well, here's the only thing I haven't mentioned yet was, now this one's kind of personal, so take that for what it is, but I realized I didn't have to be on edge all the time. There's seasons when, and I think my wife's really glad that I've learned this. But I realized I could be a little more relaxed. And I still got to hold the boys to a high standard and, have tough love. To me, that's tough love is, you have to have it for boys. And I don't have much experience coaching girls, so that may be different. But I know for boys, I mean, you got to have tough love. But anyway, that was one thing that I learned was I was probably a little too much on edge. But this season I was less so, mostly because I have young kids and wasn't getting no sleep, and I didn't have the energy to be on edge all the time. So, but we had a really good end to the season. So the boys did well, and I was not on edge. My life was better. What about you? Was there any last closing thoughts you had?
No, I think that's a great one to end on. I think just holding people accountable to a standard that's a huge thing that we have to do as coaches, right? Not only should wrestlers or athletes hold themselves accountable, right? That's also our job as coaches, right? To teach the standard, let them know what the standard is, and hold them to it consistently, right? Because we try to keep our messages pretty consistent, right? We're not trying to throw out curveballs at you, after a match, right? We just want to be like, hey, did you follow kind of your order of operations, right? Did you have good motion? Were you getting to your ties? Were you hand fighting, right? To me, I like that was a great one. I think that was really good. So, well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for listening in to our recap of our season this year, and we're hoping to be back more consistently now. I think next week we'll try and get it done before Coach Morrill heads out to Iowa to.
Yeah. And share if you enjoy the podcast. I mean, we're in our fledgling stage.
Yes.
So if you know somebody that else that enjoys wrestling, share it with them. Tell them to like or subscribe or leave us a comment, start a conversation. And our goal is just to grow wrestling in the 435. I mean, I guess 435 is the whole state, but in the Cache Valley area. So share this with somebody else.
Okay. Thank you so much. We'll see you.